Hi, and welcome to another episode of Prevailing Through Pain, where our guest today is the phenomenal Dominque Jones. Dominique is an author of A Beautiful Life Exchange. She's also a life coach. And I'll let Dominique talk about that more so we'll mess that up as we did this podcast. So, Miss Dominique, thank you for being a part of our podcast today. So honored to have you as a guest. So I'm going to get you to take our viewers back to your humble beginning.
Yes, yes. Well, it's an honor to be here, Karen. I'm so grateful for you and my life and all your influence. So I'm excited today. So let's see, humble beginnings, little Louisiana girl. That's where I was born and raised, Louisiana. Grew up in Lafayette half my life. And then after my parents divorced when I was 9, ended up in Morgan City. And so spent a lot of time there. But, if anyone is from there, beautiful culture, a lot of richness to the Louisiana culture, but a lot of struggle. It feels like there's glass ceilings. And so just growing up, I think the biggest struggle for me was parents divorcing. It just kind of broke me down. I always wanted this deep relationship with my father. And so with them separating, it made it hard. So I found myself just striving after things. I was 9. Third of 4 kids. So imagine being raised by a single mother, seen a lot, had a strong, amazing mother, but I saw the pain that she had to press through to take care of us. And so, it just shaped me in a lot of ways. But I found myself trying to look for affirmation and acceptance and value in my performance. So I was already a great student, but of course I became this overachiever now because I need to feel something, right? I'm broken on the inside. And so I'm this straight A student, star athlete, all state in multiple sports, and end up graduating valedictorian. And it wasn't until I'm 3 years into college that I realized just how broken I was. I went to New Orleans for school. New Orleans in 2005. And so I was there working for the city of New Orleans, working crime scene, and Hurricane Katrina hit. And so for me, it was a wake-up call because I didn't realize how much pain I had been pushing through. I'm working 2 jobs, going to school full time. And that pause that it forced me to have made me reckon with all the pain that I had just suppressed. And so I remember, and actually shortly before that, I was sexually assaulted. I didn't remember that when we spoke at work. And so it was preparing even for a trial with that. And so Hurricane Katrina just shut all of that. Yeah. I was going to have to testify about it. Yeah. And so, man, I just remember being in so much turmoil internally. And I couldn't work, couldn't go to school. So I was forced to try to deal with this. And it was bigger than me. So prior to that, I didn't really have a relationship with God. I knew about God, heard about God growing up, but didn't have a relationship. So it was through that whole ordeal coming out. I was in Louisiana, actually 4 days in New Orleans, 4 days after Hurricane Katrina. So I went through it all. I was in the midst of it.
We backed up.
Yeah.
The sexual assault. So the trial becomes Katrina.
Yeah, it interrupted all of it. Yeah, which I was thankful for because I remember the anguish of, thankfully it wasn't full rape, but I remember the shame. I remember blaming myself for it happening. It was a very traumatic experience to be, 21 years old.
Was it a coworker?
It was a coworker, somebody I trusted, this older gentleman that, not really a father figure, but somebody I respected and trusted. And to know that, man, like you built this whole scenario to try to get what you wanted, it was devastating to me. But I was probably naive, young and naive, just believing the best about people. So, man, going from that to Katrina, like it was a lot. It was a lot to go through. So young, I bought a house at 19 too. So I'm struggling to try to keep my house, in the midst of a storm. Literally. Yeah. But like I said, God used that to shift me. I ended up visiting the guy I was dating in Houston, Texas, and never looked back. I had a round trip ticket because it was just, I felt like I could breathe in Houston. There was help, there was support. I felt like there was hope there. And there was, because I think it was 6 months later, I came to know the Lord, found a good Bible teaching church, and that transformed my life. I realized I don't have to keep making things happen anymore. I could like really rest in him and trust him to take care of me. Now, it took breaking a lot of pride and brokenness in me. I was homeless, living out of a car for a while, living with different people, bouncing around because they wouldn't.
Texas.
This was in Texas. Yes, because it was hard to find work.
Didn't work out with
It didn't work out. Yeah, which was got
meet him in Texas.
exactly. A door to another door. But yeah, found Jesus, found my husband 2 years later. So much growth, so much transformation happened in that 2 year period. Yeah, from '05 to '07. And then I met my husband in '08.
So let's back up to living out of the car.
Yeah.
You know, I've heard people talk about living out of the car. I never actually asked them.
Yeah.
So is that when you find places, parking lots?
Yeah. Say a parking lot that's well lit. And I remember I had so much stuff that I could kind of hide a little bit. But yeah, just to get enough rest. There was a gym so I could go shower. I remember that. It was for a short period, but the job that I had, the owner ended up finding out and she welcomed me into her home. So thankfully it wasn't too long. So God was just so faithful to show me, I can take care of you. You don't have to figure it out and fend for yourself, which is that's just the way I was wired. You know, it's me. I got me, you know, when nobody else does. But he was like, no, I can take care of you. And so, yeah, it just began that journey of self-discovery, healing in that time, finding who I really was, not just all the performance, that I was made for more than that. So I met Mr. Broad, walked into 24-hour fitness in North Houston, looking for a job. I decided to go back and study dance because that was a passion that I suppressed, right? Trying to chase money. And God's like, no, I made you for that. I was doing worship, praise dance in the church and teaching, and I wanted to go and learn more. So I needed this job. Walked in the job, and he's at the front desk, eyeing me, and I was focused. I was in my books and my Bible, but that intrigued him. And so that's how we met. Yeah. Yeah, so we worked together. Wasn't interested by any means. Because again, I'm, trying to be focused, trying to build my relationship with the Lord. But there was something about this young man, even though I wasn't interested, it kept drawing me. Mm-hmm. And so we met in January '08, started dating by May, and we were married by September. Really? Fast and furious, yes, ma'am. Yeah, but with that, not knowing each other as well, we struggled in our marriage. We had a honeymoon baby, little Savion, came right out the gate. And so us being young, I was 24, my husband was 23. He was younger in this space, so there was a lot of struggle. So very quickly, I had to learn how to be a wife, be a mother, and how to submit to a man that it was hard, because I'm hearing from God and wanting to do things, and I had to learn to yield. And that's the hardest thing when you're the strong, independent woman. And so, man, that was a lot of pain. The first 2 to 3 years, we ended up separating. We separated twice, and we were separated for 1.5 years, on the verge of divorce. And man, that was a lot of pain, but it birthed so much beauty in our marriage. From that pain, God reconciled us, it really was miraculous. He was done. He sent divorce papers and everything. I was still holding on to a little bit of hope. We had moved to Dallas, but during the separation, I went back to Houston because I had a support system there. But when the Lord said it's time, I needed to heal your heart. I needed to heal his. I went back, came back to Dallas. And it was during that time that God spoke a lot to my husband, but he brought us together and birthed the ministry, Transform Us Movement, which celebrates 10 years of us doing ministry together, doing community service, mentoring and discipling young adults. It was birthed out of that pain.
So do you think during the time y'all was separated that he got closer to her?
Oh, he went back. So he got worse.
Okay.
But then he got to a breaking point. So at that breaking point, yes, he finally got closer to God, and God spoke to him about who he was supposed to be, how to love me. And so I just always encourage women, like sometimes you need that space, you know, for God to do a work in both of you. But if you're both willing, he can renew and restore anything. And so we experienced that. Yeah. Yeah. And so just, you know, so I had a season of being a single mom, which was hard, went back to school. I was always trying to further my education. But yeah, it was a great season. I think coming back though, we had a new beginning, a new start. So I got pregnant within a year, I think, of us getting back together, but we ended up losing that baby. And so that loss kind of forged our marriage even deeper. The little residue of foolishness that was still there, it had to go. And we learned how to fight together, how to pray together.
So I will go back to
Yes, that's where the book came.
to try to encourage other people
That's right.
that are going through. So thank you, Lincoln.
Absolutely. Yeah.
21-day devotional.
Yeah. But in that time, my husband learning, he was called to do music, and he was learning to become a worship leader. We learned how to worship. We had to worship through that. We were in the hospital worshiping through that. And that's what it's about, is when you're willing to like release something, a loss, a disappointment, a divorce, and like just have open hands, God can really give you a beautiful exchange. And the peace I got from that, the purpose I got from it, it was worth. I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy, but man, it shaped me as a woman. So all of the hardships, all of the struggles built me into who people see me as today. And so that's kind of what the book is about. Yeah.
So you all got through that.
We did.
Your husband got into his music ministry. And
Yeah. And I've always supported him behind the scenes, but I remember different points, God saying, okay, it's time. It's time for you to step up. I need you to do this. He opened different doors to lead. I led a nonprofit that served women who were sexually exploited and trafficked. And so I can see now how my experience just gave me empathy and compassion and understanding for those women. But that was a rewarding season. Still continuing to lead. You know, we have so many hats and so many plates spinning. We ended up having 2 girls. So for the little girl we lost, God blessed us with 2 more. And so we're homeschooling somehow. By the grace of God, we always were juggling business, ministry, but home was always important. And so always trying to be present, but still, you know, building my little business muscle behind the scenes. And so that's been really the journey the past 10 years. And the last 3, we really found our niche as marriage coaches. You know, we always served together. We did business together, but that was like the sweet spot for us.
so I know a few years ago that you lost your mom.
Yep. In the midst of that. So COVID obviously did a number on many people. I feel like we thrived in that season, but yeah, 2 years later in 2022, and that was kind of a pivot point for me out of leading that nonprofit. I felt like it was time. My mom's health was declining. And so I had made a decision to leave work so I can be available. And within 2 months, she ended up passing. And so it was hard because we didn't have the relationship I always wanted. We were closer when I was younger, but obviously as you follow the Lord, sometimes even family relationships just aren't the same, you know, and you have to be willing to let some things go. But I was at peace because I saw her suffer so much in her health. Her health declined over the years dramatically. And so it was a release that she wasn't in pain anymore. She wasn't suffering. But I remember I told Mama, when you going to write those books? When you going to write those books? She had, so she would always say, oh, I could write a book. She had so many stories. And so even writing that devotional was in honor of her legacy because she never got to tell the stories to encourage women. But she was such an inspiration for me and my siblings and so many because she endured a lot. And her goal was always to make sure we were good and that we would be better. And we were. And so I'm always grateful. for that.
So I know you said your mom and dad divorced. How about your relationship with your dad?
So it has gotten better over the years. We are closer now than ever. As an adult, you just have a different perspective. So I was able to see a side that I didn't see growing up. I had a lot of anger and resentment because he chose another family over us. That's what it felt like. That's what I believed. But in my adulthood, I was able to see, I think God, after healing my heart through even the struggles in my marriage, I think it allowed me to see my dad from a different light. And so I have profound respect for him because he grew up. I mean, he went through a lot growing up. And so he loved us the best he knew how. And he had a lot of things, a lot of, opposition that he had to endure in his marriage and all of that. So nobody's perfect. Yeah.
Something you said, he loved us the best.
Yeah.
And, I've often used those words. My mom was a teenage mom.
Yeah.
Children at 16.
Yeah.
And I would say, well, she loved us the best way she could.
That's right.
And it just, and then you think about when you hear their stories and your grandparents' stories and on and on and on.
Yeah.
I think we just had some hard lives.
We did.
That we had to endure.
Yeah.
So I look at youth today that just the things that our parents and grandparents went through, even young parents.
Yeah.
Had children, because that was still a struggle. And we try so hard to, I don't know, if it's to give them everything.
Overcompensate.
Shelter them from things. And I don't know, I want to talk about that. Do you think that we do sometimes do more harm and endure for what do you know?
I believe so. I think even now, walking through what I'm walking through with my kids, I'm very intentional, right? I cannot protect them from everything. So I'm learning from even the mistakes of others, what I'm observing. I can't overcompensate and try to fill in gaps. They need to feel some things, and I can come alongside them and support them and point their hearts to Jesus, because that's our only help. I can't try to keep them from everything. Now, obviously, we homeschool, right? So there is a measure of shelter in there, but that's because I want to have influence in my kids' life. I want to have more time with them than they are with their teacher, but I know I can't protect them from every pain and hurt. And if I do, I'm crippling them. That's why this generation lacks so much resilience, is because we put this bubble around them and they're not able to go through hard things. So many struggling with anxiety, depression. I mean, we've seen it mentoring young adults. It's a lot. It is so much.
And even in, in 2020, when school shut down, and you heard what kids were committing suicide, also the depression. And I guess I struggle with that. Well, maybe I need to have some kids to help me understand. I'm like, kids, they have the rest of their life. What are they depressed about? But you never know what goes on.
That's right.
Doors, or what may have happened, they've seen, or whatever that they put them in that state. So I try to be a lot more empathetic and understanding and try to listen. People, because I guess I used to always say, well, what are you going through?
Right.
10 years. And every day is a experience, an opportunity for me.
That's right.
To grow as a person and try to, like I said, be one. To other people, just because something didn't happen to me, or because I didn't go through something. Because I always say, well, I went through life and I shoved it out.
It made us stronger.
20 million times, and everybody's not you. And so I say that because everybody is not you.
That's right.
And so we need to have that human side, to be more conscientious. How we treat one. And more into how can we help.
That's right.
Dominque, we're going to take a sponsor break and we'll be right back.
Do you have a powerful story of perseverance? Have you triumphed over pain and want to share your story with the world? We're looking for inspiring guests to join us on the Prevailing Through Pain podcast. Head over to karencherry.me/guest. Fill out the form and let us know your story. Your voice could be the one to inspire others. Your experience can be the one to lift up someone else. Go to karencherry.me/guest.
And we're back. So Miss Dominique, I was just thinking about like the time that we met would have been about 2016, and it was a young lady. I think back because I was trying to remember how we met. Mikhail, I think it's
Michaela, yeah, she was our neighbor.
Yeah.
And did y'all meet at the gym?
Yep.
Yes.
She was my trainer.
Yes, we met, and she was like, "You need to meet Karen Cherry." I said, "I'd love to meet Miss Karen Cherry."
And you have been a delightful person in my life ever since.
That means,
I remember you all had just started, was it transformational?
So Transform Us movement, we were probably 3 years in, but we had just gotten incorporated as a 501c3 nonprofit. So yeah, I didn't realize you were there very early on. And so we were still finding our footing, finding our way when we met initially. And you were instrumental in really mentoring me in so much, being a leader, being a Black female leader, and all that comes with that.
All of that, right?
All that comes with that. And I'm grateful because it anchored me through a lot, leading that, co-founding that, building from the ground up, which you built your business. So, man, it's not, people don't talk about, those humble beginnings and being grassroots. And, you're sacrificing a lot from your household to build a business or build something, and people don't see that. They see the glory.
Yeah, they see you where you are, but they don't.
Yeah, the price you pay. But it was beautiful, in that vision. We've been able to go to 7 different countries. We've impacted the lives of tens of thousands. I can't even count, through music, mentorship. And really the heart of it was, once we really found our niche, was helping young adults discover and live out their purpose. You were just talking about that, how this generation is so much that they're facing that really is unprecedented. They have pressures from social media, having a phone from the time they're 8, 9, 10 years old, and that the overwhelm that comes with having that much information weighing on your brain, it's a lot. And so we were committed to walking with them, providing counseling for them, helping them figure out their purpose, their calling, understanding the difference in that. And so that was a very meaningful journey. So we caught you at the beginning of that. And we're able to use your building, as a meeting space. And even the mixers, were life-changing for these young people. Now some of them have their own businesses, and they're mentoring other youth. And so it's been rewarding, that just a simple yes of us finding our own purpose and beginning to walk in it, and how God has just multiplied that over and over.
Yeah. And it's just been, I'd smile, every time I would see you all doing their different phases, doing, your thing, growth, and then helping other people.
Yes.
Trying to figure out where they were. I remember either what was it? It was
the millennial mixer.
Yes. Mixer. And I was like, what in the world does she having to do with all these other people? Look at all your own personal story.
Yeah.
But however we can help them.
Yeah.
That's what we're here for.
Absolutely.
Us in places to work. He wanted us to be able to help other people to get to what they need.
Yeah.
And so you keep on with your journey.
Yeah, definitely. But that really is the key to all of us making it through and prevailing through pain, is having somebody to reach back and then us reaching forward. And that was the essence of it. And that evolved over time as we worked with several, I've lost count of the groups, probably 7 years of working, focusing on young adults. Then we realized, man, there are adults. There are men and women who need this. So my husband and I kind of developed and adapted the program curriculum that we wrote for that, for women. And so I began meeting with women individually in groups and helping them figure out life. Because we, as women, lose ourselves in being a wife and a mother and in our careers. And then when it's time to pivot, we don't know how to shift. And so it's been an honor walking with women the past few years. And then we started working with couples, because if couples... Yeah. Yes. The Relentless Love podcast, just telling our story of all that we had to overcome and just sharing the wisdom that we've gained, even in our young 16 years of marriage. But we went through a lot, and it shaped us. But it's been amazing to help couples find passion and purpose again and direction. You know, if you don't have vision, that was our struggle. I had vision. My husband didn't necessarily have vision. And so it created tension in the marriage. And so when you can find that common vision and something to work together, it's beautiful, it's enjoyable, but it's impactful too. Yeah.
You started doing real estate.
Yep. And it was shortly
All tree.
a jack of all trades. Listen, if God says a Jackie, that's the first. I like that. I'm gonna wear that. I'm gonna use that. Yeah. Shortly, it was actually just when my mother passed, I felt the Lord say, "Go do real estate," and I didn't know why. And I had to push through that in the midst of losing my mom and traveling. You know, I had to finish getting licensed. I probably broke a record of how fast I got licensed and passed the test.
You got it really quick.
Yeah, but, you know, just I knew that real estate would be a part of the journey and I didn't have all the pieces. And so, you know, just slowly grew in that. But now I see, you know, walking through this current season, I'm thankful for the wisdom of God guiding me through that. Learned a lot. You know, my model was bringing real relationships back to real estate because it's so transactional. And for me, being able to build these trusted relationships with my clients is so important, especially making the biggest financial decision of their lives. But the goal really is to help them build wealth, you know, to help shift the mindset, to educate them on the power of real estate and building with it, especially for people of color. You know, sometimes that's the only way because it's not handed down to us, an inheritance or a silver spoon. So real estate is a great way to build that. And so that was the vision and goal. And I'm slowly working the plan.
So I'm going to just ask you to talk about you and your husband.
Yes.
Your children are doing great. Your podcast, you're helping other couples and you get a
Yep. So April of this year, April 2025, you know, we had just done a marriage conference, I want to say 2 weeks before. And I remember it definitely was the peak of, man, we finally hit our stride. It felt like we were in the honeymoon season again, even at 16. We were looking forward to being empty nesters. We served over 30 couples in intensive, not, you know, probably hundreds through the podcast, but we found our rhythm. And I remember telling people, man, I could pinch myself. I'm living a dream, probably the last 3 years. And so to get a call that he was not responsive, he had collapsed at the gas station with my daughters. You know, he went to pick them up from school. He was a phenomenal husband and father. And, you know, even when I got the call, I'm thinking, we're going to get through this. We're going to pray through it. We're going to worship through it like we did everything else. And when I get to the hospital and they say, there's nothing else they can do. They've done all they can do. And I'm like, my husband is 39 years old. What do you mean you've done all you can do? And God said, let him go. And that was the hardest thing I've ever had to do. I thought giving birth to a child I couldn't keep was the hardest thing. But having to walk into a room and tell my 3 kids that their phenomenal father went to be with Jesus was the hardest thing. And to see my son, who is not emotional, break down and just lose it, like to tear me up. And so the strength God gave me, I can't even explain it because immediately it's about your kids. I think, how do I support my kids? But I'm grateful for the grace that he's given us. Though my kids were crushed, there's not words to describe the joy and peace of seeing my kids' faith anchor them through this in a way that I can't fix this for them. I can't help them through it, but seeing them lean on the Lord. I have a 16, 10, and 8-year-old. And I'm just grateful for how he's held us together. I describe it as this force field of just grace and peace that I pray never lives. And it's been 6 months, almost 6 months now.
Yeah, I was gonna say that ain't been 6 months.
Almost 6 months. And, you know, we've leaned on the Lord and leaned on each other. I'm grateful for the community, people like you, who know and love us and pray for us and have supported us. But when I reflect on the life we lived together in 16 and a half short years, and the marriage we built, the kids we raised, the impact of his funeral and his wake.
Oh, you know, I actually posted.
Oh,
You know, I said the people that were there that gave a testimony of how he affected their lives. And I said, for someone for 39 years,
wow.
to have, you know, that might sound old to a teenager.
Yeah,
You know,
it's
30
young.
years is not.
It's just starting.
And I said, for his testimony
Yeah.
to be that powerful, I said, said a whole lot about this young man. I said, social media, you know, and well, from the time I met you all, folks, just so full of energy and life, and you know, and brought doing this ministry on
Yeah.
stage, and then sitting with the children.
Yeah.
Just yeah. I thought with them how wonderful that they have, you know, those memories.
Yeah.
And the beautiful thing, the bad thing and beautiful thing, social media, is going to forever be.
Oh, yeah.
So the beautiful thing is
All the memories.
all the memories
Yeah.
of that they'll forever be able to see.
That's right.
Yeah.
And that's given us so much strength. Yeah, I tell my son, I think he was so crushed because they were just getting to this sweet spot in their relationship, and he's approaching manhood, and he's like, well, what can I do? And I reminded my son, I said, son, you had the best of your father more than most people have in their entire life. And they might have their dad present, but your dad poured into you, so you will lack nothing. And what you think you might be missing, God's going to make up the difference. And so he's beginning to see that God is surrounding him with some strong looking, just like all of them. And, you know, that comforts me. But yeah, we had so much, we just had like a strategy session dreaming about all the things that were still in our hearts to do like a month before. And so I'm just determined to run with that vision and keep going on. And because we have so much more to live for and to do together. Even my kids, there are some things that they're going to carry out that their dad couldn't. And that's what gives me hope in the midst of it. So I feel like I've experienced every type of loss of homes, loss of a child, loss of a mother. But it's always continued to bring out the best in me because I chose to lean on the Lord and, you know, just keep following him. Because with him, we have everything.
Ew. With him, I'll protest. So I want you to look into this camera, and whichever one you feel is on your heart, whether it's the young girl that's struggling, the young woman that just lost a child, a woman that just lost a child, a woman that just lost a child.
Yeah.
Crib is on your heart.
Well, I love to speak to each one of you. If you're that young woman that was like me, searching for love and acceptance and identity in all the wrong things, even good things, but it's not in God and it's not truly rooted in who you are and your worth. I just encourage you to keep press into the presence of God, because that's where all the answers will be. That's where your purpose will be. For that woman that is just tired, you've had enough. It might be a struggling marriage. It might be being a single mom and you're like, I can't do this anymore. There is so much hope. Keep pressing, because you standing firm, your kids are watching. There are so many people watching and they need you. And for that woman who's experienced loss, whether it's a mother, a father, a husband, no one can comfort you like the Lord. He truly is the God of all comfort. He will give you what you need. He will provide for you and protect you. And if you need anything, I'm here. I love coaching women, especially, into living their best life. And just know that I'm here.
So how can you start here?
Relentlesslove.com. The vision will carry on, and it's relentlesslud.com. That's if you need life, business, or marriage coaching. And then if you're looking for real estate, or you have a home, but you're ready to level up and begin working on a plan to build wealth, I'd love to meet with you, hear your goals, and walk alongside you. My number is 817-789-4059. You can call, text anytime. And then I'm on social media at Sold by Solange or at Dominque Jones. You can find me. Yeah.
But Dominique, thank you so much for sharing.
Absolutely.
And just keep sharing. Yeah, just keep being your beautiful self.
Thank you, Karen.
Hi, I'm Karen Cherry Brown, and if you like this episode, please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.